Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Sunday on a very special episode of Daily Dads. We have my buddy, my friend, my second place,
Ding.
Zach Kreider. Zach Kreider, today is your 45th birthday. I'm normally bad at giving gifts, but today I'm giving you the gift of recognition for 45 years completed. And you're leveling up today. So congratulations. Me and Zach, we went to art school together at Lock Haven University in the middle of Pennsylvania. Father of two, an artist of artists, master of words. Zach, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What a fine morning it is.
Yeah. So here's what we're doing today, Zach. Today is all about you. Sometimes we try to get people on here that we don't normally talk about. For right now, we have four. Welcome, four people. We'll see where that number goes. So what we're doing today is we're talking a little bit about Zach. We're going to reflect on 45 years as a dad, as a dude. The things that maybe we have gone through a few times, how things have changed, since way back in the 19th century. I'm trying to get the sun off my face here. It's so stupidly bright in Colorado in the morning. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning.
It's really good to see your face. We don't get to see that often.
Yeah, it's great to see yours too. Your face looks always much better than mine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I use moisturizer once in a while, and I got a haircut recently. Definitely felt like a glow up for sure.
Yeah, good.
I'm low on sleep. My sleep was a 2 out of 10. We very frequently reference the 10 scale on how we're feeling, both emotionally, sleepy, and physically. Right now, I got about 3 hours of sleep. So about 2 out of 10, but you are here. I am at my dial is at 11.
Wow.
Today?
I'd say I'm a solid 8 out of 10. I feel like it's one of those things where, the idea of getting older is always something that gets harder to a point. And I think reflecting on the idea of turning 45 is one of those things that over the past month, as I was getting closer, my daughter had just also turned 13, which is another one of those milestones. And this past summer, my son, or like last winter, my son turned 15. He's going to be 16 this year. So this past summer, he got his learner's permit. So that's like just another one of those things. And then here's the crazy part. So at 45, I'm like, all right, I got 5 years till I'm 50. So these thoughts start going through your head, thinking about like age and numbers and all of that. And I also realized when I turn 50, my son is 21 and my daughter's 18. So I have two adult children at the same time. I hit that like big milestone number. So a lot of those things like start going through your head. So like, I would say 8 out of 10, because I'm just kind of in that place, like on your birthday where you're kind of reflecting on numbers. But otherwise, woke up early, had a good night's sleep, had myself a wonderful bagel, which you don't find that many great bagel places in Florida, which is kind of one of those weird things. With so many New York transplants, they somehow still can't do it right, but we're lucky. We've got a good place nearby. So had a bagel, and now I'm actually sleepy again because I've got about 400 pounds of carbs in my stomach just sitting there. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the bagels and pizza. Pizzas seem to be kind of mastered in Colorado. There's been places here in town that like they've gone as far as like importing East Coast water, or having some machine that like perfectly blends the alkalines. So I guess you get the East Coast taste or texture or whatever they're trying to master. Most of it is like Einstein bagels, places like that. I mean, bakeries are good. Our cakes are good. Pizzas are okay.
It's not, it's not the same though. And I know, it's like you'd think everywhere across the United States should be able to do the exact same thing, but it's just not. The Northeast is just it's got its thing. It's good. Can't
Yeah.
fault it.
Yeah, I always find when I'm trying to fool myself into enjoying these East Coast delights, I always try to I always imagine like how these things were first started, like bagels and maybe even pizza. Like they were made out of necessity. Like they needed a way to make this stuff, and maybe they just oh, Jules is here. Should we invite Jules on?
I mean, yeah. If
I'm gonna
if
get
Jules,
Jules on here. We're getting Jules. We're getting the whole LHU crowd together here.
yeah,
Jules, you better prepare and get your game face on because you're coming on here. Um, yeah, I'm always thinking about like why these things were made because people needed food, right? And like bagels have good staying power, and over time they just became good because that's the way they always were until people started putting shit like salt and poppy seeds on it, right? Um,
oh, the best bagel, hands down, though. And everybody can argue about it, but like an everything bagel, or if you're really, really lucky and you know a place that does it, a super egg, which is basically an egg bagel with all the everything stuff on it. So, everybody's got their own choice, but you're all wrong if you don't go with the everything. So, you know,
yep, hard agree. Absolutely. Egg,
yeah.
sausage, cheese, sometimes ketchup. Ryan's very anti-ketchup. If we ever bring up ketchup, I think that sends him into a rage. He's a dietitian and he's like anti ketchup. He'll eat donuts and he'll eat like a 20 pack of chicken nuggets from McDonald's, but uh,
Ketchup is unnatural and
ketchup
shouldn't
is
be. Yeah.
ketchup is the devil to a dietitian, even beyond soda apparently.
I feel like ketchup's one of those things like it's for people under 15 and people over 50. I mean, does that make sense?
What was the first part before?
Ketchup is for people under 15 and over 50. It could be
Uh,
over 50, but
yeah, I could kind of see that.
yeah.
Expand on that because I have my own thought on ketchup.
I mean, I think, well, ketchup again is, if you've ever watched any of those history of food things, our ketchup is not what ketchup was. Like, ketchup was originally a fish condiment from Asia, very similar to like a fish sauce or something along those lines. It was fermented, and then eventually it was like one of those things that came across, and there was onion ketchup that existed before there was ever tomato ketchup. And tomato ketchup is kind of like the last version of ketchup. It's the trendiest ketchup now, but like it doesn't mean that we couldn't make ketchup using something else like plums, and you could make a plum ketchup, and then in the next 50 years everybody's eating plum ketchup.
I've heard of plums. I did not know about the onion connection, nor did I know that it was something from Asia. I did not
Mhm.
know that. If Ryan's listening, you better rethink your opinion on ketchup, Ryan, because Zach's dropping some knowledge bombs here.
You just gotta go down that YouTube rabbit hole of like the history of food. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good one.
Bro Fitz is joining. Bro Fitz is a frequent listener. Got to meet him on our road trip over the summer.
Nice.
Excellent guy. Oh, look who's here. Look who's here for the birthday party. We got
Hey,
Jules Keelan online.
hello, hello.
Good
What's
morning.
up, Jules?
So
What are you guys talking about?
we're talking about ketchup and bagels right now.
About what?
Ketchup and bagels.
They don't go together.
No, they do depending on what's going on them. In the chat now we got Brian, Brofitz, and Dom's here. Brian, Dom. These are my two of my very best, closest and longest time friends from college days. And I'm very grateful that we are still in touch. Not very many people can say that, I don't think. So this is
No,
like,
I always tell my nieces and nephews to kind of stop in the moment and realize who you're spending your time with, because 25 years later, I'm still spending all these moments with you guys
yeah. And we talk like every day.
every day.
Like that is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Jules, I think you're probably better. I feel like, Jules, you have like our entire like 20-year text thread saved somewhere, because you always like reference it or something.
Yeah, I had to get a new phone about a year ago, and they came over and they were like, "Look, you're gonna have to make some tough choices because you have way too many text messages."
It's like, sorry, non-negotiable. Those stay. I don't
Pretty
care
much.
using my entire hard drive.
You got it. You have an external hard drive on your phone just for a text thread.
I really do. Like the FBI would be jealous of me.
Yeah. Also, they know everything about us.
Yeah.
Guys, do you realize this is like the first time that we've been face to face? I think probably in like could be 20 years.
No, COVID was probably
COVID. We had that call in COVID.
Oh yeah, the one call after we said, "Hey, we should do this weekly."
Yeah, we really did. I treated that Zoom call like going to the gym. Like one time was good.
I used all my conversation notes. So, okay, well, this is great. What a great Sunday. This is awesome. Sun is shining. We're smiling. Zach is 45.
45.
Yeah. So just to kind of bring you guys up, most days, me and my friend Dom, who's in the chat now, and Dom, you're more than welcome to come join us so I can complete this beautiful circle of life here. Every day we reference a reading in the Daily Dad. Zach, in my head, I feel like I sent this to you, but I probably didn't.
like the whole book. No.
Oh, okay. Well, I intended to multiple times.
I intended to receive it.
Okay. Well, at some point, I will send you a copy.
A for effort on both parts.
The intention is there. So today, I got a few questions for our friend Zach, and now that you're here, Jules, you can totally jump into these. Today's this whole every month has like a theme, and this month's theme is sharing and giving kids, whether they're our own kids or whether our nieces and nephews, what we're giving them as a legacy, or whether it's giving them interests. This month is all about reading in books, and we are on our second cycle through the book, which I've never done before with a book ever, is read it twice. So like every year it kind of changes. This month we're kind of talking about things that we're handing off to them, or things or ways that we want to guide their futures and interests without being overbearing, because we all have friends that probably had overbearing parents that may have had a predetermined path. I don't think I'm one of those. I doubt that you two are with the children in your family. But before we get to that stuff, we might hit the page specifically. But when we're talking about our buddy Zach and Jules, and just the fact that we're together and we're still friends after all this long, and we're kind of reflecting on this entire time, let's open up today with, in these 25 years, how do you guys think that you have changed the most? And it could even be recently, or even how this friendship has changed over time. You guys can jump in. You guys can interrupt each other. It doesn't matter, because this is the internet and the points don't matter.
I think I changed the most by having a beard in the past 25 years.
Me too.
Other than other than that, I feel like I'm pretty much the same person. I think that, in general, I think the largest maturing moments for me again was having kids. And then that idea of having to go through the process of thinking about what do I know and what do I have to teach them? Um, and kind of finding that place that becomes the balance of you as the person, you as the father. And then, so I also am a teacher. I teach art for anybody else that's,
I forgot to say that.
yeah, listening. So like Jay and I have a connection with that, from college, from doing our art programs there, but then also now sharing that joy of being able to teach art. So I have that parent, teacher, and then myself that I kind of have to balance, which I would say that's like the biggest change from when 25 years ago, when it was just us, uh, Jay and I blasting 1920s oboe jazz music in our studio and spray painting the walls for no apparent reason other than that we were artists.
It just felt like that's what we were supposed to do.
Yeah. I don't know, Jules, what do you think was your biggest change from then till now?
I think with youth comes a lot of uncertainty about who you are and where you fit in. And I found myself comparing myself a lot to other people when I was younger. Um, and now I don't know when it happened, but I just fiercely became a cheerleader for everybody. Um, Everybody's success, I'm genuinely so happy for them. And I never for a second think, well, why didn't that happen to me? The first thought is always they deserve this. Um, and with yeah, I think just changing to being from cynical or unsure of who I am to just fiercely optimistic. Every day, like every second counts, and I'm here for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm totally sitting on the couch binge watching TV right now. But every second of that show is amazing.
Jules, fiercely optimistic. You nailed that. That's something that we talked about in the past on the show when we're talking about the things that our kids might go through. Where it's like as soon as they leave the door, they will be.
Sorry, my kids are in the room with me.
Say it
Not
again.
anymore. I said my dogs were in the room with me.
Oh, dogs?
I adopted another dog yesterday.
Well, no, I knew you did. I didn't know you already had a dog.
Yes.
I feel like a bad friend not knowing that now.
You're completely fine. You're completely fine.
Yeah, Zach, Jules, you are absolutely an awesome cheerleader for everybody. Like I see it everywhere, even in like things that like Kristen does, where it's like you hear that we do. It's like, dude, that's awesome. Tell Kristen congratulations. You are the first person to remember birthdays, and I've had to ask you before. Hey, when is Zach's birthday? Last year was the first year that I finally realized that Zach and my Aunt Gail have the same birthday. Gail's turning 80 today.
Oh, happy birthday, Gail.
Yeah, she might be sleeping right now. Not feeling too hot. She's getting up there. Movement's getting a little bit hard. But also want to give her a little bit of birthday gratitude today too. But yeah, fiercely optimistic. Like especially when I talk about my middle girl, she's definitely, things are black and white with her. Things hit really hard. Smaller things like relationships, friendships, those can hit hard. And what I was saying before is like our kids leave the door and they will immediately be hit with feedback or criticism. And it's our job, like you just said, to be fiercely optimistic for them. So like that's our number one job.
Yeah, you probably feel that at school though too, right? Because I know, like as a teacher, that's literally what I do every day. When I go in, I have students that look at me and they're like, "Mr. Kreider, why are you always so happy? And I'm like, that's a great question. And I said, I think it's that idea of, leading by example. Like if I'm optimistic and, you draw something and it doesn't look the best and you're ready to throw it away, instead of always being like, you're horrible, stop drawing. You're like, no, that's all right. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's figure out where it's going. Let's observe what happens next, and that thing. And they're like, nothing is ever bad for you. And there are times where I have to tell them, I was like, guys, you have to realize, like, some of this is an act. some of this is a character that I play while I'm teaching, so that I can instill in you this idea of, like, positivity. Like, am I always positive? No, I'll be honest about that. But, like, will you ever see me not being positive? No, because, like, the goal again is, like, if I come in harboring something that's a negative feeling, and then it comes out in the way that I'm teaching, I'm not doing my best to support my students. And I feel like that kind of happens, with your own kids too, but you see it on a greater scale when you're a teacher, because you have like 170 students and you recognize it more frequently. And then it's like when you have your own kids, it's like, I have 2 kids. Yeah, I can, I'm myself, I do my thing. And, I'm always positive, make dinner, clean up dinner, ask them how things are going, but you don't think about it the same way when it's other people's kids. So I don't know. It's kind of like just trying to, like, foster that idea of fierce optimism.
Yeah.
I am not a teacher, for anybody who didn't know that. So I don't have children looking up to me. My job essentially is I get yelled at all day long. I am the top of, when somebody calls in saying, I want to talk to your manager, I'm the top manager that they get to talk to. So either I'm a hero or I'm a villain, but I'm getting yelled at all day. And I still just walk around and smile, because it's so contagious. And I find when I see people having a good time, like, I instantly start having a good time. And I remember there's this part of Charlotte, it's a really cool part. It's this old building, and you walk through and it's all these shops, and there's a shoe shine man. And every morning at 7:00 in the morning, I'd walk through and a shoe shine man would go, there she is. And he'd fist bump me. And it was awesome. And I'd be smiling through the rest of the building. And one day this guy stopped me and he said, I see you every morning and you come out of this building smiling. And then I find myself smiling. And I said, well, what you didn't see was shoe shine man giving me a fist bump, and that made me smile. So it's like this game of tag as to who gets to make the next person smile. And it's so fun.
Be the shoe shine man. That's got to
Yeah.
go. That's got to go on a shirt. Yeah. It is contagious.
Well, you can probably attest for this too. You think back to, like, being in college when we were all hanging out together. What was one of the things that would just trigger everybody else's laughter was Jules's laughter. So if somebody said a joke or said something that was remotely funny, Jules would start laughing. And then even if it was just mildly funny, now it's absolutely hilarious. And everybody's just enjoying the moment. So, it is that feeling of being able to, like, carry it forward, or just being your honest self about things and allowing yourself to, like, enjoy something as fully as you can. And then allowing other people to, participate in with it.
My stupid thing that I always thought was so funny was setting random alarms to say, go make Jules a sandwich. And I remember one time we were sitting on the porch and someone said it was 6:23. And I knew at 6:24 somebody was going to get a text or a message or alarm that said, go make me a sandwich. So I started giggling. And I remember Zach going, 6:23, time to start laughing.
I did not know that story about the time to start laughing. I just remember laughing like an asshole on a porch, middle of Pennsylvania.
Oh, God, yes.
That fills me in on that. Jules, you brought up an awesome point, and I had this discussion with my daughter last night about not really knowing yourself.
Mhm.
So, like, and then how that kind of comes out in how you interact with people. The conversation I had with her last night is kind of spreading yourself out amongst friend groups. Like in high school, I played sports, so I was friends with like the athletes and jocks. Uh, I I was uncomfortably trying to get into the art crowd because like that was something that I was interested in, and I felt very kind of out of place, but I felt like I wanted to be there, you know? And then I also did the school musical because my public speaking teacher told me and a friend that they were looking for guys, which ended up being an awesome experience. So I was like, I felt like I was kind of spreading out amongst these groups, but when it came down to it, I don't think I really had a great sense of myself until probably junior year of college. Like even going into college before I even knew you guys, I was playing soccer, and that was a shitty year. Like I was not yet an art major. I was a geology major. I don't know if I ever told you guys that,
I did
but
not know that.
because I went to school and I was like, well, I like being outside and like rocks are outside. So I guess geology's it. Uh, and I remember I went to the first class and there was one other person who it was like a senior and she was graduating and it was me. And it was so weird as a freshman going into a class and like you are being lectured to for an hour on this subject that you think you might have enjoyed. It was like it was just an uncomfortable year. Like soccer was intense. I felt like I had two left feet. It was like the whole team was international. Um, and it was until like sophomore year, like I quit soccer because like it just was not working. And then, you know, started going to the art building. That's when me and Zach met. And even then, it was like, you know, I think I'm like, I think I'm good at art. I sure. It was hard. It was like a really difficult time. And I'm like, why would anybody send a kid to college when they have no idea what to do with themselves besides the social aspect? So the discussion I had with my daughter, referencing what you said, Jules, is, hey, who do you like? I asked her, like when you're with like your friends, are there friends that like, are there groups that you feel like you're like one version, and then like groups that you're another version? And that's who I was. Like I remember, like I was like when I was playing sports, I was that version of me. When I was in theater, I would even say theater was like that was probably when I was the most like myself because it was just acting. I met my first girlfriend and we dated for a while into college through that. And then like art, I was like uncomfortably trying to find my way. Um, and then even in college in the art building, I was like, you know, connected with Zach pretty fast, but still I was like, I felt like did not know who I was really. So it was like, well, there was this art version of me. And then like, you know, with Andy at the house, it's like we had our own banter, you know, with Jason Curtis and those guys. Uh I mean, all great stuff, but like I definitely did not have a sense of like what I was bringing to the table. You know, I was very much somebody that was absorbing, like even with Zach, like Zach was like Zach, you were like the very first like artistic muse. Like you know, most famous artists have like a female muse that like their boyfriend and girlfriend or their lovers, and they paint and they paint that person naked a bunch of times. You were my muse, Zach. We didn't ever paint each other naked, but
Well,
uh,
there goes that fantasy.
Yeah. No, Jay, I mean, to piggyback off of what you're saying, and then also the conversation with your daughter, I think that there's a lot of things. My background, again, in high school is very similar to yours, where it was like I was a sports person. I was also smart. I also did stuff with like theater, and it was like, you know, and science and who knows what and art. And it's like, and then you get to college and you're like, now what am I supposed to do here? And me too, in the same thing where I did not start as an art major. I started as an outdoor recreation management major because I too was like, I just know that I like outdoors. And this thing says outdoors in the title. But it only took me, I think, a semester before I changed over to art. Um, But talking about the conversation with your daughter, like that, who are you in those different places? With my two, now with my son being a sophomore in high school at the school that I teach at, witnessing him go through middle school where he had groups of friends and, they didn't treat each other the best. Well, basically they didn't treat him the best, but it was still like working through it. And he gets to high school and he's got this one solid group of friends, but now he's got all these other group of friends. And story being that last night was the homecoming dance. And he was like, I don't know if I want to go. I don't know if I want to go. And then all of a sudden, last minute, he's like, I want to go. So he's been talking to a girl and she was like, well, I'm going with my friends. And he was like, well, I guess I should go with my friends. So then they went and he had a blast. And when he got back, I was like, so which of the friends didn't go? And he labeled all of the ones in his like main group that didn't go. But he told me that he was hanging out and spending time with all of these other people from all these subgroups. And it's kind of in that place where you're in high school where you start doing that. And then in college, you do that even more until you just really refine down, like, who are my people? Because who am I? And then that's where you get people like you guys, where 25 years go by and you see each other physically like 3 times in 25 years. But, you still have this direct connection, this profoundly deep connection and relationship where, nothing changes, because you're the same person at the core that, from that time period where you established yourself and your core friends. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was, my brain just went to Mars for a second. I meant to add on that. Yeah, after like that 2 years where like we were all like living together kind of, that was definitely like, that's what carried for sure. And that's definitely who I am today.
So, I mean, going to Paris and
yeah,
that was probably one of those things in the back of my head that's like, if I never got to just walk across Paris with you, drinking wine and getting flipped off by people,
don't forget Danielle.
And Danielle. Yeah. The 3 of us, and then getting back to where we were staying and doing impromptu whose line is it anyway with random props that we were finding in like garbage piles. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah,
at the end of the walk, it was a great walk.
Sure.
It was a great walk, but then we got yelled at there too because it was late and we were loud because we were laughing and having a good time. But it's poor memories.
Yeah, and then you ended up like staying like 2 weeks after, which I remember getting home and I was so angsty because I came home. Danielle gave me a mohawk that I came home with, and I remember like walking into the house and my dad just, oh no, it was at the airport. My dad picked me up from the airport, took a look at me, and I don't think that I've ever seen him look so disappointed as seeing his 19, 20, 21-year-old son walk through the airport with a mohawk fresh from Paris. And that was around the time where like, the French were being shat upon from 9/11 fallout. So
Freedom Prize.
all that jazz. Yeah. So yeah, I came home and I was like, I gotta get out of here. I had no idea what to do. It was like I remember driving home and I was so angsty to the point I was like, why are our highways so big?
And I felt bad for you too, because again, it was like one of those things that was like, it wasn't necessarily last minute, but when I had made the plans to stay over and then Brooke was staying and they were doing like the whole backpacking thing and going, to Germany and other places. And it was just like, I don't know. I just looked at it as like, if I'm over here, I need to stay as long as I can, even though it was like broke, like living in that hostel for a week. It was like, I think I stayed for like 8 extra days. I wish I would have stayed longer, but I was staying in a room with a Spaniard and a Russian, and there was a Swedish guy down the hall. And like, those were my 3 people in that hostel for a week. And it was interesting. You'd wake up in the morning completely independent and isolated. You had basically nothing, and no reason to not do what you wanted to do. So it was like I would just go to museums, or I'd hang out in the parks, find a place to like get a snack for cheap, and then eventually make my way back to the hostel. And the Swedish guy is like, "Hey, we're going clubbing tonight." And I'm like, "All right, Swedish guy, let's go clubbing." And we
Yeah.
went to like the
You had
dingy little basement place called the Beachcomber. And they were like, "You can't get in because it's full." We are like, "Okay, cool. So we'll wait out here." And finally they let us in. There was nobody in there. And they were serving their special drink for the night was Long Island iced teas, which I still find as being very humorous. When you're in London, their special for the night was Long Island iced teas.
Long Island iced teas that's like the American embassy finding something
Yeah.
like that. Reference our friend Mitch Hedberg from back in the day.
Um,
Next question. I do have to go in like 10 minutes. I wish I could do this longer.
All day.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, a little bit of look who Becky. Becky dropped us a little like.
Nice.
If you're
Thanks,
listening,
Becky.
Baker. Baker. People still call you Baker. Good morning. Miss you. Hope that everything's going well. I know she has kids and stuff like that. So let's go back to a little bit of this book we read here. One of the things that we talk about is this month is what we're handing off to people like our kids or nephews or nieces. And Zach, I know you're probably very much aligned with this. And Jules, you seem like close as peanut butter and jelly with your nieces and nephews.
I try to be.
Yeah. What's something that you feel like you are giving them to carry on? Like my quick example, I would say would be like creative thinking, just the fact that they have a studio space. I don't really think that they know how to interact in this mess that I have here. They just know that dad comes down here and makes stuff. But it's like at some point, because like I remember that like my mom, she got me into computers. Like we always had a computer at the house. And it was like back in DOS where it was like she would just keep uploading this stuff, and just having technology around us was a good way of rolling into the 90s, just being aware, being able to use that stuff. That's kind of what she handed to me. And also like Paris, she made Paris happen for me. Like she was always the parent that was like, yeah, you should go do this. Even though at the time, maybe I wasn't in that mindset, what's the thing that you think that your kids are going to carry from you, whether they're realizing it now or sometime in the future?
I think that there's a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
going to go with embarrassment as a choice. It didn't occur to me until Eric Pfeiffer actually said it to me back in college that I don't get embarrassed. And ever since that was pointed out to me, I've kind of worn it as a sense of pride. Like, no, I can't get embarrassed. And thank God I don't, because I would never be able to leave the house. I do so many embarrassing things, but I laugh at it and it causes more memories and joy. So the thought of getting embarrassed, stopping them from doing something should not be a hurdle. Don't be embarrassed. Like, I know that's easier said than done, but if you can't be embarrassed, then nobody can really make fun of you. And it opens up a lot of doors for you to just be able to push through and say, okay, I might look silly, but I'm going to have a great time being silly.
Yeah. I think people are much more memorable when they can roll with that stuff. Like the people that I know and remember are the people that lean into that, like that optimistic awkwardness.
Yeah,
And
that's me. That is the title of my biography.
yeah, like
Optimistically awkward.
I'm a chronic reintroducer. Like the amount of time that I've reintroduced myself to people and also reintroduced friends to each other because I forgot that I introduced them. Like number one, it totally ruins the vibe because like I'll jump into a conversation, I'll introduce them again. And I remember one time like, yeah, we know. We, we've been friends for a year or something like that. And Jules, you share a lot of your office antics,
But
which
yes.
like I would say, like if any of us would be a character on The Office, that is you. Like you would be an office character, main player for sure.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, it was 2012. My whole family went to Disney World and we were having breakfast with the characters. And I think my oldest nephew at the time was 9 or 10. And the characters came in and I got so excited that I spilled coffee on Nick because I saw Mickey Mouse. And then all the characters started doing like a conga line around the room. So all the kids get up and my nephew, you could see the thought of, I'm too old for this. And he was 10 years old, his first time at Disney World. So I grabbed him and I like he was laughing the whole time, but like I was moving his hands and kind of like treating him like a Muppet, but we were dancing behind Mickey. And the thought, like he tried to pretend like he was too cool for it, but he almost missed his opportunity to dance with Mickey Mouse because he was too embarrassed. And that's just, I don't miss those moments. They're so few.
Thanks, Paulson. Appreciate it, buddy.
Allison's in the chat. Should we get crazy, y'all? Should we let's see here. Let's see. Let's see if we can make this a party today.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll share my quick things about what I'm sharing with my kids. I would definitely say it kind of starts with the music. Right now, specifically, both my kids are so into like their music. And recently, again, my daughter just turned 13, and for her birthday, I was like, "What do you want to do?" She was like, "Let's go record shopping." Right. So, we went to 3 record shops to find a bunch of music that she likes. And like while we're there, my son's like, "Oh, dad, they have Stone Temple Pilots' greatest hits. Can I get that?" I was like, "Do you have money for it?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll pay you back." Right. But it's like they literally are like listening to things and appreciating them. And there's like date nights that I'll have with Eve when Max is doing something else. And we'll just share music back and forth. She's like, "Dad, have you heard this new one by Mitski?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't," and she'll put it on. I'm like, "All right, this is good. That reminds me of this song." And then like, we'll go back and forth. And I think it's like the appreciation for music and the openness to like have that dialogue too when you have something to share. And I think that it's kind of fun that my daughter shares more music with me and I share more music with Max. And Max is actually at the age now where he's like, I don't understand why your generation was so lucky to have so much good music. And he's like, and my generation has all this crap. And I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. Just know that all of my music is your music too. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I think besides that, I think going to the page that you sent, which was all about like teaching them the reason for like why, to ask why and to go through that process. I think I have really inquisitive kids that kind of were naturally that way. So it wasn't something that I necessarily had to like teach or share them. I think though, I don't know if it's like biological because like I was always that way. I was always like, well, why is this what it is? And you would go through the process of trying to figure it out independently. And I think that there's a point of that where I wasn't getting that sort of question learning from my parents, but like I recognized it internally. So there are times when I have to go through that with my own kids just to be like, well, why are you thinking that? Where I'm asking the why so that they're able to tell me like the position for what they're doing and why they're doing it. And then they recognize that they can still ask themselves the why behind everything, where maybe they're processing it internally to begin with. It gives them the credibility to see the steps. And to piggyback off of that, the other night Eve was doing algebra homework, and nowadays, she's in 8th grade. They're doing algebra, but they're using calculators, and so much of it is calculator work that they don't know how to do all of the steps in the process. So everything is simplified, and it gets really confusing if you don't know those steps. So I had to go through, and I was like, "Well, why are you doing this?" Like, and she's like, "I don't know. The calculator told me to." So I sat there and I broke it down, like, so 5 extra steps to showcase what the calculator did. But it's like, that's why. This is the why of what you're doing. And hopefully this is what can help you now to be able to see it, where you're not just sitting there confused out of your brain all the time.
I don't need to know the why. I'm trying to find X, Dad. Algebra joke.
We're solving for W.
Zach, when I got to meet your kids, and one thing that I noticed is that both Eve and Max seem to very much be like a very focused, concentrated part of you. Like Max seems to be like the techie, following like threads of like video games and the mythology of those. And Eve is very much what seemed to be very much like the music inspired personality of you. Like those are your two halves in little humans.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. And I think, like, again, it's that thing where you can see them as that, but then you also have to understand, just like with your own kids, you might see, Kira as having a lot of the personality of, Kristen for being organized or something along those lines, where maybe that's not what you're seeing from yourself, but you also are seeing all of the other parts that are sprinkled in from the things that you do.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
like
no, he definitely has your organization of Kristen, and thank God for that. She very much has my 12-year-old sense of humor, which can be frustrating. It's like, is this what I was like as a kid, but now in girl form? Uh, one of the things, and actually, Zach, this is a good question for you, and maybe Jules, like what you observe of your nieces and nephews with their parents. I am very much in the space now with Kira where and even it's even just been like just the summer where I feel like I am now in the stage where I am reaching for connection because of her like taking her like growing into her independence. And a lot of it has to do with like friends, and we've talked a lot about like kids and cell phone use and screen time and how to manage that. And it's a shitty battle. And like I feel like over the past week I feel like I've kind of been harping on it to the point where it's like that kind of pushes her away, um but that's how they make their connections. Like when we were kids, it was like leaving the house and
Yeah.
not being home till late, and like rushing to finish dinner so you could leave the house. With us now, it's because we don't live in the neighborhood where most of our connections are. A lot of what their connection is now is through their phone and texting. And me and Dom have talked about like how many text friend groups that they're in. And sometimes these groups are gigantic, like 20, 30 people. And that's how they interact now. And that's where we lose most of Kira's presence, is when she's curating these conversations. So like I'm feeling a bit uncool now. And
just
now
revel in the fact, right? Revel in the fact that she has those connections and that she's developing her independent self-worth, and she's learning how to navigate complex social situations, right? Because it's such an important part during that transitional time period of young teenage life, And again, like you're saying, this is how they communicate. I know that with my own children. There are times that we have conversations about it where I'm like, how are things going? Who are you talking to? How many people are in this? Why are these people acting this way? Why are you on the phone if you're not participating in this conversation? All of these wonderful questions where if you have that open dialogue, you can kind of work through it. I think some of the other things to consider too are, finding places where your children can have additional relationships with trusted adults to be able to share those conversations where it's not with you or, Kristen. So like in Jules's case, I'm sure, segueing into you get to be that third party that gets to be the individual outside of the parents that gets to have that moment of, communication and clarity.
Yeah, one of the coolest moments I think I've experienced as an aunt is I was driving with my nephew who was maybe 14 at the time. And we were driving and he was just pointing out where all of his friends lived. And I was asking, like, how did you meet this person? How did you become friends with them? And it was just very natural conversation. And I got home and I was telling my sister-in-law, and her sister was there as well. And they both just looked at me completely shocked and they said, he's never told us any of this. And that was going to be my recommendation to you guys, is just get them in the car and go for a drive. The best conversations I've had with my nieces and nephews, or even the kids that I call my niece and nephew of my friends' kids here, I get them in the car, we go for a drive, we hang out, we just talk. The little one, she's only 2, so it's like, hey, I see a tree. And she repeats, I see a tree. The other one, he's 7. I was taking him to Chuck E. Cheese and he said, did you tell your friends that you're going to Chuck E. Cheese with a really cool kid? And I said, no, I told him I was going with you. Like, just we're getting to know each other. And they're not allowed to take their phone. Don't take your phone. Just get in the car and start driving and just see where the conversation with your kids goes. Driving home from Lock Haven with my parents, we probably had some of the best conversations. Some of it was just singing in the car to whatever song was on the radio. But other times it was talking about world events. Some of it was talking about things that happened when my dad was young. It just really, there wasn't anything else to do but talk.
Yeah. Jules, I'm going to say from experience, you probably have a very special connection with your nieces and nephews that their parents don't see. My aunt Gail, she's a very deep conversationalist. Sometimes even to the point of like, you're like, wow, we got really deep in 3 minutes here. But like that was my relationship with her, was like, there were things that I talked about with her that I didn't talk with my parents. And I think that's just natural. I think that's a part of, I just think that's a very regular family dynamic. And I have not had that yet. Like I have nieces and nephews, but I don't yet have that. I don't feel like I yet have that relationship where like they're confiding in me things that they need a connection that's not apparent, right? I think that's just natural. Like, Kira has that with, some of our adult friends that she's talked about, and we're totally cool with it. Like that's important. I think it's important for kids to have another outlet that's not parents, you know? As long as they're not sharing like something really harmful, I guess.
That part, as long as they're being safe. And it's such a fine line as an aunt, especially with the kids that I'm not related to. For example, I was throwing a jersey up in the air and we were catching it. And like, that was a fun game for me and him. But I knew his mom wouldn't like that game. So you have to be really, really careful to not say, this is a game we don't tell your parents about, because that sounds sketchy. And you never want to say, like, don't tell your parents. Like, I have never said those words ever. I just have to be more conscious. Like, hey, you and I are playing this game, but your mom probably wouldn't like you throwing your jersey up in the air. So, like, you can tell her we did this, but don't do it when Like she won't like it or something to that effect. I know it's probably still not a great example, but at least I will never say the words "don't tell your parents."
Yeah. You have older, like they're in high school now, right?
I have actually 5, 6 maybe in college now. The
Mhm.
oldest one is 22. The youngest one just turned 14 of my biological nieces and nephews. Yes.
So you're getting into that really curious stage. Have you ever found yourself having to set a boundary with them as far as like conversations and topics where you might have had to say, you should really talk to this about your parents?
No, I fear that they're like, "Hey, I don't want to talk about this with you." um, there was a time where my brother is very tough on his son and has been his whole life. And I think my nephew was probably about 14 or 15. And I said, look, it's every dad's job to make sure their kid isn't as stupid as they were. I said, I was there. Your dad was an idiot. I said, he's just hard on you because he's trying to make sure you're not as dumb as he was. I said, and Grandpap was just as hard on your dad because Grandpap was an idiot too. Um, I said, but it's all out of a place of love and just make sure he's just trying to set you up to be an independent person. So, not necessarily, hey, go talk to your parents, but more of this is why your parents are doing this. Just adding a little bit of insight and reminding them that they weren't always parents. I remember when your mom and dad were so stupid. So they're just trying to make sure that you're not so stupid. That's what we have to do. We have to try and make the next generation smarter. And it's getting scary times for that.
Yeah, we are the torchbearers of evolution, and we have to make sure that we're not handing off our mistakes for sure.
And I
Speaking of
didn't add to the population, so I'm just trying to make your kids smarter.
You're
Thanks,
making
Jules.
yeah, you're just filtering out the things to leave behind.
Call me Aunt Britta. Just pure
I
filtered ants.
so I have to start kind of wrapping this up because I
Absolutely.
do a family thing, but I have two things here. Okay, number one, just a little bit of context about our friendship over the past 20 years. Um, I just want to quickly share what we looked like when we were children.
Oh,
I think this was Zach's wedding.
it was Zach's wedding.
Yeah. That was my dirty martini stage. And then also, I would say this is like our best picture ever. Is
Yeah.
this?
I figured that was coming. That's a
Yeah,
classic.
yeah, that couch. I don't know. I mean, that's like a classic college couch right there.
That was at Angela's apartment, which was the house next door to the one that Jay, you and I lived in.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't
Uh,
remember that.
this is from when photos would still get aged, and now they're all yellow. That's how old we are.
That's how they looked, though. That was literally just the way the cameras looked. Like, and then you would get it back from CVS or Walmart, 3 weeks later and go, let's see what's on this, guys. It was like a party in itself.
It was. It was.
Yeah, I have one roll of film here, that has been used, and I'm not sure if it's from photography class or if it's from something else. And I don't know how much it costs to get those developed these days, but I don't think I can afford it at the moment. So I'm still hanging on to it. One last question for you guys. I really enjoyed this, and I would love to do this again. Dom says that he's really enjoying it, and I would love to connect you guys because I think this was like this show right here. I think is like a great example of just kind of what we do each morning when me and Dom are talking.
I
It's
love
just
listening to you guys.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, it's just a habit, just a good middle-aged habit because how often do we get to talk to adults? That's not about work or kids or schedules. The question I have for you two, and I'll start with mine, is if you could delete, and I know usually the answer is nothing, okay, but I want you to think hard because I got one. If you could delete one embarrassing moment from the past 25 years amongst us, what would it be? And mine is, and I'm, this is not teacher me speaking now, but once upon a time, I used to drink. And I remember one night I drank a lot and I passed out in Jules' bed. And this is G-rated, folks. Don't worry. I passed out in Jules' bed and I woke up and I'm pretty sure I puked in your bed. But it was like, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like chunky. It was just, I don't know if I was sweating, but it was really wet. And to fix it, I flipped the pillow over and left. That was, in my mind at that moment, that was the fix. I was like, maybe she won't notice that the entire top half of her bed was wet. That's something that I wish I had handled differently and just said, hey, I think I puked in your bed. I didn't do that. I just left the house like it was a normal Tuesday.
Sure.
I love
And
that
knowing
it's a
me, I was probably,
Tuesday.
oh man, did I throw up on my bed?
So what's yours? What's one thing that you would have rather not happen, even though the general consensus is everything adds up to where we are now?
I mean, honestly, I would go back to the night that you ended up getting your butt kicked.
Oh yeah,
And
that was fun. That's not a core memory I want to keep. That's a red ball
no,
core.
No,
Corner.
you already chose throwing up on my bed.
yeah. But like just that whole interaction, and then for me, it's actually the after fact when when you were in the hospital because your spleen burst, or what was it, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And
that was terrible.
and literally not coming to see you in the hospital more often, because I think I came once during that time period and it was like short lived, but I was not very good at like seeing people in a bad state. And I felt bad about that as being a friend, that I wasn't doing more to be like supportive during that time. So
Yeah, but okay, I appreciate that, but I want you to know that my mom brought me. What's up, Hazel? My mom brought a Polaroid camera to the hospital, and with the intention, because this was my mom's superpower is preserving memories. She brought a Polaroid camera to take pictures of people visiting. Zach, you came with a blue wig. I don't know if you remember that. And Jules, there's a picture of you there too. Like everybody stopped by, even Becky stopped by, and I remember some of the rugby guys. Even though I was uncomfortable, definitely felt like fish out of water there. People came to visit, and I have pictures of it. So don't feel
That's
like you
awesome.
were there, because I have a picture of it forever.
yeah. And the scars to prove it.
I think for me, it was after college, not long after college, but Chrissy and I had a really bad falling out that lasted way too long, years. And she was my very first friend at Log Haven. She was my roommate for 5 years. To be clear, we only went to college for 4 years, but we lived together when we moved to Maryland together. And we had just way too much of a foundation to have let it get that bad. And if I could, I would go back and either fix it or remove the falling out completely. But I am very thankful to say that I don't want you guys to think I'm cheating on you, but I do have another group text called Mac Girls, which is Andrea, Chrissy, and Aaron. And I texted them just as early as yesterday.
Awesome.
So I'm very thankful for that. But if I could, I would remove that.
Nice.
That's great. I'm glad you are in contact with them still.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
You guys.
Is your daughter still in the room?
Hazel, want to come say hi to my friends here? Come here. Quick, come here.
That was my edit.
I'm gonna come show you.
Yes.
Can I say this? No? Okay,
Jules
cool.
was trying to do the exact opposite. Don't bring your child closer.
I was going to
Earlier,
make a
Jules-
very graphic comment about how once you're friends with me, you're kind of stuck with me forever.
Yeah. So, so this is my friend Zach and Jules, and I was friends with them. We are farther away. No, never mind. I can't calculate that. Some calculation of time. Funny story. This cast here shows
Yes.
her arm falling off of the monkey bars on Thursday night. Paulison, his daughter, broke her arm the same night, and we were at the same hospital with our kids.
Was it the same monkey bars though?
No, their IV fell down the stairs.
No, I've already contacted Child Protection Services in the area, just letting them know that you guys know each other.
Thank you. I appreciate
Child fighting ring.
Well, these kids aren't gonna something crops, but we got to earn money somehow.
These bones aren't going to strengthen themselves.
Yeah. We should do. I would love to. Well, I know we said this during COVID, but I would love to do this again with you guys and have you guys on the show with Dom and Ryan and Blaze. If Blaze, you still exist and you still have a device. Blaze is our fourth dude who's I think he's in school and he has kids. He handles a lot, but met some really cool people through here, and I hope to connect you guys with them at some point too.
Love it. Thank you. Happy birthday, Zach. Happy birthday, Aunt Gail.
Zach, any last old man thoughts as we enter your first day of 45?
No, but I would say that this might be the first time in my entire life that I'm starting to honestly think about doing a 5-year plan. Like, you know how like people talk about like making a 5-year plan. I'm pretty sure my dad had a couple 5-year plans and stuff like that. And it's just like, I've made it to 45 by winging it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I've done pretty darn well, but I'm like, maybe this is the year that I should literally make a 5-year plan.
To bring it back to Mitch Hedberg, in 5 years, I'm going to celebrate the anniversary of you deciding to make this plan.
I had that. Dang it! I could talk for like another hour on this. Yeah, gym teacher friend, older guy. He just executed a 5-year plan, and like came to the end of it. That he started when he was our age. So that's it. We got our next episode topic.
Yep.
Right.
Segue into the next episode.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, kids.
And Andrew Paulison, sorry, I gotta go. It would have been awesome to have you here too, but he said he was pooping and then feeding his kids. But
I mean, I joined while I was pooping, so Andy, that's no excuse.
Priority.
Well, he could have joined from the toilet. I mean,
by the way, there was a moment probably about 15, 16, 20 minutes ago that I'm pretty sure Jules had to stop herself from saying that's what she said.
It absolutely entered my mind.
Did it?
That tracks for sure.
Okay.
All right, guys, I love you. I'm thankful for our decades of friendship.
My friendship cup is full. It overfloweth.
Yeah, happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy birthday. Bye, guys.
Have a great day, folks.
Thanks. See ya.